Hello, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's Mobile Mechanics, looking at a Jaguar here, and it's an XF model. Right, so what's wrong with this is the alternator is not charging, and it is down there, just where that red cap is, just below there. So we're going to get these pipes out. This one will get the engine cover off. We've already loosened that up, and we've got a couple of 7mm to just open these. So I'll just get my light on it because it's getting a little bit dull as it's raining slightly. So the alternator is just down there now. I just need to figure out how I'm going to get it out. So I've opened this one. Now we're going to open this one. Get this pipe out of the way so we can see a little bit better. Then we got one more 7mm down there just to remove that last piece of pipe. I'll just leave that over there. Now that last piece of pipe's out of the way, I can get my hand down here, get onto the tensioner there with a 16mm. Lift it up, which will relieve the pressure from the belt, and we can pull that off. Okay, now I've pulled the belt off, and we're going to go in and disconnect the battery. We probably should have just done that first anyway. Okay, the battery's disconnected. Looks like we're going to have to remove this pulley here right in front of the lower bolt down there. There's a little bolt right there. We've got a pulley here in front of it, so we're going to try and get that open. Now, I can't get a ratchet on the end of this because there's not enough room. It's up against the fan here, so I've just put an 8mm spanner around it, and we're going to open it like that. So I'm just using the 8mm spanner there over the socket just to get it open, and that's a T50. So it looks like we can open it by hand now. There we go, that's that one. So now with that out of the way, it looks like we have access to both of the bolts there. One down the bottom and one just here at the top. So looking ahead there, once I get those bolts out, I might be able to pull it this way and out of this section here. So I think I'll get rid of this inlet pipe just now, just before I get that far. It's little screws here, plastic screws, 2 there on each side. One little 10mm bolt from there. And that's it, we can just pull all of that out. Now with that gone, it looks like we've got a lot more room and the job looks a lot easier now. So that's a 13mm bolt. So I'm just getting a pry bar down the back here. Just give it a little wedge. We should be able to move it out slightly like that. Now just here on top, just around about there, we've got a little bracket that holds the, looks like the power steering pump. It just sits right above it there. So it's quite close. You can see it's touching the power steering pump there. So I'm not sure if you're supposed to get that out of the way first, but it looks like we should be able to just about wiggle it out without removing it. There you are. Got it out. And one bit I forgot to get on the video there, we did unplug the plug from the alternator here. Okay, put that down there. We have a new alternator to go back in, and here it is. And this is a brand new, it's not reconditioned. So we're just going to compare them up, make sure they look the same, plugs are in the same place, and the live connection is in the same place. And it's also a good idea to check that the pulley looks exactly the same size as well. It's got the same amount of ribs. So I'm just slipping it in here. If we get it in that sort of position, it'll slide right in. And as you got it in, you slide it all the way back, then you can tilt it up so the positive is facing upwards. And you'll find that the new one is easier to put in than the old one came out because the dowel here isn't compressed yet. So on the old alternator here, you got these little dowels that when you pull the bolt in, that compresses in and wedges the alternator in place. So that's why it's a little bit harder to get these out. You got to use a pry bar. And my phone is covered in water, so hopefully it's still working at the end of the day. Okay, just put the bolts in there by hand temporarily. Then we can move around the back, get this plug back in. There. And you can see down there, it's a bit of a strange place. That's where the oil filter housing is, just down there. Just about to see it. So that's it, we've tightened up the bolts, put back on the idler pulley. Now we just need to reroute the belt back on. And that's the belt rerouted there back on, in that position. Live terminal back on. And that's the air inlet pipe all back on there. 14 volts. That's it, all done. See you in the next video.